Hello everyone and welcome to your March 2022 reading. This is a collective reading for your sun, moon, or rising sign. I have some announcements and some things to tell you about the format changes, but before I get into that, I just want to say for anyone who's new and just coming to see me for the first time, hi, I'm Nonamae. Also, collective readings can't obviously capture what's going on specifically for every single Aries or Sagittarius or whatever, right? So I would say take what resonates, leave what doesn't. And also check out, if you're checking out your sun sign, check out your your rising sign I would suggest next, and then your moon I would say maybe last, for whichever resonates with you the best, right? So there might be one that resonates more this month than the other. The other thing is that we are self-determined, not predetermined, so please remember that. If you hear something that feels anxiety inducing in some way, then make sure to just kind of check in with yourself and remember that if you hear something that sounds scary or disturbing, there is a reason for that. That information is given to us so that we can kind of course correct. It's like you see the train coming down the tracks and you have the ability to step off to the right or step off to the left, whichever way that you want to go, right? So just keep that in mind. I do think that there's an amount of fate somewhere in our lives in the world, but I think for the most part it's really about our free will. So sometimes I think the information that we get gives us the information to either affirm certain things or to let us know, hey, maybe you want to shift track, so that's all I really want to say about that. If you do want a specific reading, you want something that's definitely more about your situations, what you're dealing with, and is specific to your energy, then I would recommend getting a personal reading, and the link for that is down below. Okay, that's all out of the way. That's all said. Now let's get into some stuff that I'm pretty excited about. So laugh if you must, but I have to have notes so that I can remember to say everything I wanted to say to you guys. So I'll try to move through this as quickly as possible. This is also for your benefit so that I'm not long-winded, even though we all know I'm long-winded. So I don't go on forever. All right. So there has been a shift in the format this month, and that's really more so based on the feedback that I got. So a lot of people DM'd me that watched it, maybe not a lot of people, but a few people DM'd me that watched it, and they let me know what they thought I could maybe shift. And so I took that into account, and the things that I kind of heard over and over, I thought, well, let me experiment. So if I moved something that you really liked and wanted me to keep from the last month, please let me know. Throw it down in the comments or shoot me a DM like the other people did, and then that way I can kind of gauge how to continue to improve the format here, right? Okay, so that all said, let's get on to all of the announcements that I'm pretty excited about. All right, so last month we had our first Cards and Cocktails events. We did two on Valentine's Day, and they were so much fun. So I'm definitely keeping them. I'm hoping that they really even continue to pick up. Right now, I'm looking at once, maybe twice a month. So the best way to really know about that is to stay in contact with me. I'm going to start trying to plan them ahead of time and put them in the descriptions for these videos. But for right now, the best way is through social media. So definitely check out the links for that so that you can stay in touch if you want to be a part of it. But it was super fun. Cards and Cocktails is just bring your cocktail, bring your mocktail, bring your wine, and bring your questions. And it's totally free. It's just hey, let's hang out. Let me pull cards about whatever your questions are. And I just hung out for as long as there were people coming through. So it was so much fun that I decided I'm gonna definitely continue doing it. So if you want to know when the next one is, I'm thinking it might be second week of March, so I'm not really sure yet. I'm trying to solidify those dates currently, in the next couple of days. So those should be up soon. Along with that, I'm considering doing a tarot after dark kind of thing. And that's kind of bring your juicy, dark, shadowy types of questions and let's kind of dig into it, right? And that's another kind of hangout that I'm considering. If that sounds cool with you, please let me know, because it's what helps me know what to continue to create, right? Okay, so next thing is, right, I have some new, see, this is why I have a list. I have some new options on Patreon for weekly and monthly readings. So, and those are also live version, like doing live readings with me, or just one-to-one, or doing a recorded. So, and those are different pricing tiers. But if you are looking for just kind of like ongoing guidance around, I don't know, maybe you're dealing with some relationship stuff or something with business or a project, or you just like having the consistent guidance about certain things and you just want to have that and know what's going on for the week or the month, then those options are available to you. So you can do a monthly reading, live or recorded. You can do a weekly reading, live or recorded. The weekly readings are 30 minutes long and the monthly readings are 90 minutes long, sometimes 90 plus, depending on what's really coming up. So I'm only at the beginning opening up 4 spots for each of those tiers because I just want to make sure that I'm able to deliver on time. And so I don't want to have an influx of people and not be able to deliver. So I might open up more spots, but for right now, I'm keeping it at 4 for each of those tiers. So that's just opened up. I really just created that the other day. All right. So along with that, with Patreon, I noticed that it's lacking in some flexibility for purchase options. So I do recognize, because these are collective readings, perhaps because every month your sun, moon, or rising may not be resonant with you, like maybe one month it is and one month it isn't. And so if you're doing Patreon, you're subscribed to getting them every month, right? So I have decided that I need to create a, it's been a long time coming, but I need to just create a really simple web page. So I'm working on that. It might take me 1 to 2 months, but I want to be able to offer that if this particular month resonates with you, that you can purchase a one-off instead of needing to really be in a subscription for that. I think that the monthly and weeklies make more sense for Patreon. So I'd like to have some flexibility in that. So for right now, you can do it through Patreon, but I am trying to have that out, like just a really simple, it's not going to be a fancy web page or anything like that, just a simple, you know, able to purchase those. Also, the options are a little limited for how to create bundles. So let's say that you really want to buy your sun and rising, or your sun and moon, just basically 2 out of the 3, or you want your sun, moon, and rising extended because you want all of them. So if you want something like that, or let's say that, you know, you watched your sun sign, your friend watched their sun sign, and you guys both want the extended, I want you guys to be able to just purchase those for the month. So there will be options to purchase 2 or to purchase 3, and those bundles of course will just be at like a little bit of a discounted rate, so that, you know, because you're buying more than one. So I just wanted to let you guys know that's on the horizon. That's something that I'm creating. With so much on my plate right now, honestly, it might take me about like 1 to 2 months to actually get that done. So okay, there's that. Sorry, just a little bit more. So the new and full moon readings that I talked about last month for starting. So I didn't do them for the month of February, and I am considering, I'm not sure whether I should do a recorded version here on YouTube or whether I should do a live hangout. So I would love some feedback about that if you guys could let me know so that I know what to create. But this new moon that is kicking off March on March 2nd is going to be huge. Really, really big. Lots of astrologers that I follow and trust, and other people that I know energetically have been talking about this, and it is going to be a big one. So because of that, I already have a lot on my plate that day. I may not be able to make the new moon for this month for March, but then the full moon in Libra, which I believe is on the 18th, I may be able to do one, or I'll definitely be able to do one then. So I'm not sure whether I should do a live, because then at least you guys can join and then just show up and ask your questions and we can just hang out, or whether I should do a collective, just one overall. So let me know your thoughts about that. I'm gonna make that decision in the next probably week and a half tops, so that I can get that information out there to you guys. Okay, this is the other thing. All right, this is a big deal. I don't know if you guys are aware that Facebook has made changes that are going to be effective on Facebook and Instagram. I don't know whether YouTube is following suit. I have no idea. I need to do more research on this, but they are effectively changing the way that people in certain fields are able to be discovered, or their ability to market to people who are interested in what they have to offer. Amongst those are astrologers and tarot readers, spiritual coaches, things like that. So definitely affects the realms that I'm in. So if we don't really know the extent to which this is going to affect things. So I'm already kind of looking ahead and trying to see where I might put my attention, what other things I can create as a result to pivot because of this. So one of the things that I just wanted to kind of bring to your attention is, if you weren't aware of this, check it out for yourself. I'm also going to do more research and see kind of how it rolls out and what it looks like. But if there are certain astrologers that you really resonate with, tarot readers, people in these realms, including myself, it's really helpful to us to just share what we are offering. If you resonate with it, if you like the content, more than ever, it's going to be about supporting community. And so I definitely am planning to do that myself with the astrologers and the tarot readers and the spiritual workers that I actually follow and work with. So I feel like, there's a lot of talk about why this is happening and that it's another level of censorship. And I am kind of holding off on what I totally think about it until I see how this actually plays out. However, it's not necessarily encouraging. So I just wanted to bring that up. It is helpful. Please do share it for myself, for you, for like your friends, for other people that, that you follow, that you resonate with. Just something to know is that sharing and being in community is probably going to be the way that most of us who do what we do are able to continue doing what we do. So I just wanted to mention that. And also to stay in touch. And for right now, I haven't created any other kind of platform to bring people onto. So for right now, I mostly post on Instagram. My Instagram handle is down below, so definitely follow me if you're not following me already. That's the main way that you can stay up on the cards and cocktails, the tarot after dark, the new and full moon readings, and any kind of new announcements that I roll out. Speaking of which, I am rolling out a referral, kind of like an affiliate type of link program thing. And so that'll be in effect probably by the next 2 weeks, maybe a week and a half. So it could be sooner, the first half of the month for sure. And I'm trying to decide on what it is that I want to be able to give back and reward you guys with for sending a referral. It's a really easy link, and you just basically get your own personal link and you can share it very easily. And I want to make sure that I say thank you. So I'm thinking maybe a discount on personal readings with me as a reward. Let me know your thoughts. If you have ideas for what you think you would like and what would be a thank you to you that would feel good for sending a referral, then please let me know so that I can kind of get the wheels turning on that. I definitely want to release that quickly. So, and the other thing is, with all this is the last thing, I swear. So moving ahead, looking ahead, and not knowing how this is all going to affect us, I am looking at another live streaming platform that's relatively new, and it allows for posting your questions in a chat and for doing live readings and all the things. But I think the struggle has been trying to figure out doing readings on on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, and do I do cards and cocktails on each one of those or only on one, and where do I do all of the hangouts? And this is kind of one way for me to bring everyone together into one space. You don't have to create an account, you don't have to sign on to a program or anything like that, but you just have the link, kind of like a Zoom, and you just hop on. So this is something that I'm actually gonna probably be trying out. That looks like more towards the end of March. So again, if you stay in touch with me, otherwise I will be probably announcing it on next month's readings. Okay, that is everything. That was a lot, but a lot has developed and a lot is moving. By the way, I am loving this. My friend, I'm just gonna call you out, Crystal, she gave me this beautiful kimono and I just love wearing it, and I'm wearing it today, so I had to look at it in the screen. I love this. So thank you, Crystal. I love it. Okay, I think that's all. So please enjoy your readings this month. Let me know if you have any feedback, and thank you for your patience and for listening to all that if you did. And please share, subscribe, and I will see you guys next month. Enjoy. Bye. Hello Virgos, and welcome to your March 2022 reading. This is a collective reading for sun, moon, or rising. So if you want a more specific and personalized reading, the links for that will be down below, where you can book a 90-minute session with me. Also, the extended version of this will be down below as well in the description. And there were a couple format changes with this month. I'm just basing it off really what feedback I get from people. So please make sure to weigh in. If there are things that you're just like, oh, I wish you would have left that in there, or I wish you would include some of this, then please let me know, so that way I can continue to make these really valuable for you guys. So without further ado, let's get into it. I took some time to clear my decks and clear my energy before we get into each reading, even in between signs. So even when I'm recording a bunch in a row, I make sure to do that. Also, I'm trying to be mindful about shuffling off away from the mic as much as possible. I was kind of told, I wasn't really sure, like if somebody's listening on their headset, that it might be a little bit loud. So let me know if this is improved. I want to make sure that it's not too loud for people. All right, last thing that I'm gonna say is that if you fast forwarded to this point and you have missed earlier, I announced in the video at the very beginning all of the new format changes, but also a bunch of new stuff that I'm offering that's on the horizon. New hangouts for live hangouts that are free to get your, get readings for quick questions. And I'm hoping to do those a couple times a month at least. But yeah, go back and check that out if you're curious about that. All right, so what do we have coming up for the month of March for you? All right, so what do we have coming up for a challenge for my Virgos? Okay, and spiritual advice. All right. Okay, and we'll get into those as soon as we pull some cards for what's coming up with regard to business, career, finances for my Virgos. Temperance. All right. And challenge. And spiritual advice. So we'll see if we need any clarification cards with this. I might actually, just from looking at this, there are a couple that I might really want. So, okay, perfect. So let's take a look at what we have here. And I'm actually going to bring these out of frame so that we can focus on just one thing at a time. And let's take a look at the overall vibe for the month of March for you. All right, so for some of you, there is this either a recent feeling of establishment in self, right? Knowing oneself, feeling like you're knowing yourself, or having gotten to a place where this feels more solidified, right? Like at a greater level of knowing the self. And for some of you, I think that there's this exploration of what that really means for the month of March, right? So said some other ways, it's like, how are you, some questions maybe actually to ask yourself might be like, how am I expressing my sense of self? This is about your sense of self. He knows his sense of self, right? He's got that down. And also that plays a part in making decisions in his kingdom, in his life, right? So when he's making decisions for the kingdom, if he has a strong sense of self, and it's a clear sense of self, not a diluted one, but a strong sense of self, not an overinflated one, but a strong sense of self, then he's able to make better decisions for the people in his kingdom and for himself, right? So this does transfer into decision making, into leadership abilities, and how your sense of self plays a part in this, right? So for some of you, this is a theme. I don't know if you've been working with this already, or if this is just something that is kind of coming up for this month or during this month, but that is part of it. In the challenge position, we have the sun. And I see this a couple of different ways. So take whichever one resonates with you the most. But for some of you, this could be about either like hiding your light, your sense of self, right? Sense of self is very much a sun card. The sun card is the I am, right? The sun is like our identity, our self-identity, right? When we're looking at astrology and whatnot. So it's just like this, I feel, is connected. So some of you might be hiding behind, not shining your light, or doing this maybe recklessly. So, and I'll come back to that, but The other thing that I also see happening here is for some of you, it's kind of like, hey, it might be time to get a little bit back into reality. Like it's lovely to have this break into the sun and to be free and feel expressed, right? Like you look at this baby, he's like naked, bare in the sun and expressed and bareback on the horse, and there's sunflowers and the, you know, it's bright and beautiful and like a lovely weather, right? That's what you imagine is happening in this place, right? So it's like there's a time where we need that. We need to have those kinds of experiences before we can move forward into the next phase, like a time of not just rest, but a time of enjoyment, a time to feel free, to feel that kind of freedom and liberation, right? That comes maybe from even exploring sense of self and like what that actually means for some of you. So there's a time to do that, but once that there is that time, it's like, okay, make sure you're also taking time to like integrate and move things forward. There needs to be also the, you know, it's not here and only here forever. So just be careful with that for some of you. And also for others, it's like, you know, are you shining your light, or are you over the top? you know, when people are like, look at me, everything me. And it's just kind of like, it's over the top and it's a bit much. So like, make sure that you're, there's a balance in that, you know, you're not hiding, but you're also not, over the top with it. You're just shining your light, shining brightly, you know. Yeah, enjoy your life, you know, take what you've discovered about your sense of self, or what you're discovering about your sense of self, and bring it forward, you know. Share that, be willing to share that, just like doing that in a balanced way, right? So, which is interesting because what we have coming up here is Temperance, when we're about to get into your business and career. I just had to throw that in for a second. Okay. So then we have some of the spiritual advice that you're getting. And it's kind of like when we're in this world of cups, of dreams, of ideals, of, you know, all of these kinds of things where we're imagining and feeling and dreaming into the things that we want, it can also be, you know, an illusory world. Like it can be delusional, or like these are illusions, and it's just not grounded. There's no like real clarity into this. And so, you know, what's here in the spiritual advice is like, there's nothing wrong with the dreaming part, you know. It's just, but sometimes you got to pick and see how it all comes together. So might need to inject some of the air qualities, like putting in some thought, some analytical thought, and some grounding, and bringing that in. And then eventually the fire to like take the action and move it forward. But might need to bring in some of the other elements in order to kind of just see like, well, which ones do I want to bring together? How can I start to get some more clarity, some more, what's the word I'm looking for? Some more tangibility around this. Like, how can I make this a little bit more tangible, right? So just something to consider there. We might get a clarification part for that, but I want to see, like, let's take a closer look at what's actually coming up with business first. And actually, let's move this aside so that we can just focus on this. Okay. So let's take a look here at what we have for, now this could be business, your career, if you're an entrepreneur, that, if you work within a company, that. This could also just be about your financial life. Okay, so just keep that in mind as we're going forward, because again, this is a collective reading, so take what resonates. All right, so we see Temperance showing up here, and in one way, so I'm gonna say that when we're looking at this for finances, for career, for business path, this to me looks like the combination of like the combining of resources. Resources could be time, people, space, materials, ideas that are coming from, you know, collaboration, how you bring things together in a way that is harmonious, that is that works together, where these elements are in balance and harmonious, where they're being blended together in this way that really works, right? So there is that, whether you're collaborating or, you know, whoever you might be working with, there's that to consider. And also, if you're working for yourself, you know, this still applies about recognizing and using your resources that are available to you and combining them to create new ideas, to bring new things into form, to create your business or whatever it is. That still involves bringing together the resources of time, people, space, materials, things like that, right? So that's just something to consider. For some of you, this might actually be you working with like a benefactor, somebody who's maybe like an angel investor. Not to say that just because there's an angel with wings here that's what that is, but just this could be representative of that. And also, the other thing to consider is that if you are working within something that is in a public space, this could be about communicating your ideas to the public in a way that is clear, congruent, harmonious, that makes sense and works together. So that's something to think about as well. The challenge here is coming through with the Ace of Swords. The Ace of Swords is an energy that pierces through any kind of like any space that is not clear, that is murky. So it pierces through into clarity. It pierces through any of the muck, any of the cloudiness, any confusion, or anything like that. And it brings you into the space of clarity. Now, in the challenge position, it might mean that you're needing to actually look into certain things, to create clarity, to look at things in a truthful and honest way, to be the one who speaks the truth and communicates in a clear and honest way. And because sometimes with the swords, we could be dealing with a legal matter. So if there's anything to do with like documents or contracts or legal things, make sure that you're looking into it to see that it's communicated clearly by all parties, including yourself, right? I'm not going to say, I don't want to create any kind of fear around like, oh, somebody might be lying to you, but it's just like, make sure it's clear, make sure that things are above board and honest, and that you're really getting to anything clear. Like don't sign off, don't co-sign, even if it's not an actual contract. Like, I just mean even on ideas or whatever, don't co-sign on anything that you're not absolutely clear on. You know, I'm getting for a couple of you out there that there might be feeling shy or trepidatious about asking for the clarity or getting the clarity, not wanting to be a bother or a hindrance or create too many waves, but it's necessary. So you can find a way to do this diplomatically. You can absolutely do this, Virgo. So just keep that in mind. That's something to keep in mind because it's in the challenge position. And then what I see coming up here in the advice, in your spiritual advice, is about what are you wanting to actually create going forward? Like, what is the legacy you're wanting to create? Keep that in mind as you're moving forward, because it's like, this is the big picture, right? When we see this particular card, we're looking at generational wealth that's been built, right? It's been built over a generation. Like this, you know, we can imagine that this particular guy, he's put in the hard work, he's created a family, and so we're looking at generations and providing for generations, and they're inside of a structure, right? They're inside of a like a city, and so there is structure and form, and you know, you see the multiple generations, it's him and then them and their child, and so it's just like, how does it go forward and benefit the whole? Now, I'm not saying that this is about you having children and having a family, because there are those of us out here who are not about that. I'm not into I love children, but I'm not trying to have that life, you know. I'm happy to be the aunt. So you know, so like, if I were looking at this for me, I'd be saying like, what is the legacy I'm passing on? You know, how do I want to benefit the whole? Remember that the influences that we have, like the time of Aquarius and what we've, you know, been influenced by, especially recently in astrology, it's like, this is about that kind of like that community vibe. It's like, what are the impacts? What are the ripple effects that are going to be built out? What do you want them to be? And also, that aside, besides looking at this from a community perspective and from a you know, like a legacy perspective, this is about the good life. You know, this is grounded, established. It feels safe. It's, you know, it's like safe, grounded, established, like things have been established, right? And it's like looking at how you're wanting to create even your world. Like, how is this business or business partnership or the work that you're doing, how does it move you closer to the thing that you want with regard to the kind of grounding, the kind of established life, the good life, and what that means for you? Maybe that means traveling all around the world and being able to have that kind of wealth stacked up and being an investor and, you know, doing all these kinds of things. Whatever that means for you, right? This is about the tangible world. And so pointing to just remembering like, what is showing up in the tangible world for you, as far as what you want to create, where you want to feel established. And for some of you that are entrepreneurs, how do you want to be established in the realm of what you do, like in your particular genre of work, right? What is it how do you want to be established? What impact do you want to contribute, or how do you want to create, or, you know, yeah, be established essentially. So I feel like that's clear. I'm starting to repeat myself. So here's what we had showing up in the realm of business and finances. It feels really straightforward and clear, to me here. So I'm not going to ask for clarification cards with this, but let's get into love life for Virgos. Let's take a look at the overall vibe for love life for Virgos. Oops, that was a sneak peek there. And what's happening with the challenge, and also what spiritual advice is being given in the realm of love, dating, that kind of connection space for my Virgos here for the month of March. All right. Without even looking at that, I'm getting this feeling like I want another, like, couple cards. So we're probably going to pull that, a couple of cards. All right. And then also we're going to be taking a look at, and I say this with every video, so if you're listening to your sun, moon, and rising, just keep in mind that I need to make sure I mention this for everyone. You know, when we're looking at the goddess and god cards, look at them as the masculine and feminine archetypes that exist within all of us. Again, this is not about identity. This is not about gender. This is about how we all have this polarity of energy that exists within us, and which aspects of that can we tap into and tune into in order to move through this month more skillfully, or you know, what's going to be helpful for us. If you do believe in deities and entities and whatnot, I'm not here to tell you what to believe in, right? But if you do, then the way you could look at this is like, these are the homies that have your back, right? These are the ones who are like, I've got you, we're gonna help you through this month, right? So this is who's showing up. I'm also looking at, you know, just for that deeper personal, like personal development work, for spiritual work, whatever, however you feel comfortable looking at that. It's like there is work that's present for us to do, to go deeper, always in life, whether we choose to acknowledge that or not. And so what we have is the invitation for how you can take that deeper. And of course, that's only going to just benefit you and how quickly you upgrade in your life, right? How quickly you're able to move forward. So let's also take a look at the shadow aspect. Well, that sounded like a really loud one. I hope that wasn't too loud for those of you who are listening in your earbuds to these. Yeah, so the shadow is just, where are the blind spots? These are the places that we can get tripped up. If we had already done the work with them completely, if we had already looked at this, then it wouldn't be showing up, right? It wouldn't be necessary to say like, hey, look at this thing. So this is kind of like, all right, let's look at the thing that's maybe going to make us wince a little bit so that we're aware of it, we're clear about it, right? And then the last one that we're going to do here is we're going to look at a rune, okay? So that is what we're going to be looking at in the extended version, which the link for that is down below. You can find that on Patreon. By the way, I am working on creating just a really simple, like basic website page until I can really have the time to create the one that I want, but something that will allow for you to, if you're just kind of like, I'd like to subscribe monthly to the collective, extended on Patreon, but maybe you only want to buy the ones that you feel like you've been resonating with the reading overall for, so you'll be able to buy one-offs. And then also I'm going to be putting together a package that is just kind of discounted if you wanted to buy all 3 extended for your sun, moon, and rising, because you want to watch all 3. So that's on the horizon. Honestly, because of my, like, what I've got on my plate right now, I might not be able to have that out by next month. So it might take me a couple of months, but I just want you to know that that's on the horizon. In the meantime, you can get this on Patreon. So love reading and the deeper spiritual advice and what's coming up in the shadows for you. Like, what are the things that you need to look at? All right, so we'll see you over there. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you next month. Bye, Virgo.